welcome again. We are into the midway of understanding and implementing probability into mathematics. So till now I think we have learned random experiment, sample space, the definition and the understanding of probability. The thing which is going to come now is the algebra of events. How we have defined an event and we have defined a second event, and how do I going to club and mix, and according to that we'll deal with the following questions to come into the probability. So this part will give you a deep insight how do we use 2 or 3 different events clubbed together and deal with the cases of probability into that. So to understand all of that, stay tuned. So in the last part we have done a definition of probability, sample space and the various other known terms used in this chapter. From now onwards, we will do something that is related to the mathematical operations that we will use in this chapter. Starting off with the algebra of events, let's understand what do we have in algebra of events. First of all, we have mutually exclusive event. So what are mutually exclusive events? Mutually exclusive events are a set of events and they will be called as mutually exclusive if occurrence of one in any case defies or precludes the occurrence of the other event. Or in case I can say that suppose event number A is happening and event number B is happening. So if A is happening, I can say that B is not going to happen and never going to happen. And if B is happening, A is never going to happen. So this is the basic definition what tells about mutually exclusive event. To get an example in a more defined and detailed way, let's take that as given on the slide. Suppose a sum of 10 occurs or a sum of 12 occurs. So these are the two events that we have taken together. So either 10 can occur or 12 can occur, right? Both of them cannot occur. If I am throwing up a pair of die and I am expecting that the sum of 10 should appear, and if it is appearing, it is automatically declaring and defining very loudly that sum of 12 is not going to occur and has not occurred, and if 12 is occurring, it will automatically tell me the fact that 10 is not going to occur. So the occurrence of one automatically is registering a defeat in the occurrence of others. So that is how and why we understand mutually exclusive terms. Or on a layman language, I can say that if two events are mutually exclusive, they cannot occur simultaneously. And there is a mathematical set theoretical definition with which we can define mutually exclusive events. If A1, A2, AN be the set of mutually exclusive events, then I can say that if the intersection of any event I along with the intersection of any event J is equal to phi when I is not equal to J. So this is the basic definition. When I am taking a set of two events and occurrence of one, I am saying it again and again, the occurrence of one is precluding the occurrence of the other event, then those two events will be called as mutually exclusive events. Now there is a term which is known as exhaustive events. So let's understand what is a set of exhaustive events. If the performance of a random experiment always results in the occurrence of at least one of them. This language is a bit dicey and difficult to understand, so let's get to the mean of it. What I'm saying is, I have done an experiment, now I have a sample space. I will define my set of events such that while I am inculcating or adding all of them, I should get the complete sample space. Suppose I am claiming that I have a sample space S which can be consisting of A1, A2, A3 till AN. So what I have done, I have taken all these events together, and if I have added and compiled the data sets of all these events, I will get in totality final the sample space. So set of all those events which will combine together to give me the elements of sample space will be known as exhaustive events. Let's see and understand it with a diagram. Now suppose this is a universal diagram, and what you have done, you have divided your universal set into a set of events like this. So you are calling it as A1, you are calling this as A2, you are calling this as A3, this as A4 and this one as A5. So what I am saying is, if I have these 5 events, so can I say that adding A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 plus A5 is going to give me the complete universal set if I have considered the universal set as the sample space of my experiment. So this is what exhaustive events mean. For example, take an ordinary pack of cards, and in the very event says the first card drawn, that is of heart, the other card drawn, that is of diamond, drawn card is glove, and then drawn card is spade. So see what I have done, I have taken all the 4 exclusive differential set of values which we normally use in a pack of cards, and if I'll club all these 4 values, I am definitely very sure that I am going to get all the 52 cards. So in other words, what you can simply say, if you are collecting all the sample points that is being given into this set of events and you are generating the sample space again, the set of events will be called as exhaustive events. And if that is the point, and considering that E is an exhaustive event, having said that, so I am pretty sure that the probability of occurrence of event E is going to be 1, because I am collating and collecting all the sample points of a given data, and I am pretty sure that if I'll collect all the sample points, I will get again the sample space. So the occurrence of that event is a sure event, and the probability for that is going to be 1. Now let's take the algebra of events. If I have considered certain A and B events, what can be the various things that can happen with them and what we can learn and understand with them. So first, if A union B is there, which means it stands for the occurrence of at least one of them. So what do we mean by this? Let's suppose draw a Venn diagram and there are 2 events. So A union B tells me that if this is A and this is B, either this complete can happen or complete B can happen. I am pretty well content and satisfied if both of them are happening. So what in general normal English I can say that at least either A can also happen, B can also happen, club of A and B can also happen. There is no foundation, no obligation on any set of events. Next one is A intersection B stands for simultaneous occurrence of A and B. So what does this mean? A intersection B means I need the part of A as well as I need the part of B. Suppose what I am saying that I'll only go to school if there is a rain on that day and along with that the temperature is above 12 degrees. So I need a condition that going to school is only possible. I need that day should be a rainy day and the temperature around the surroundings must be around 12. So I am demanding the rainy day also and I am demanding a temperature variation also. So if I'll get both the conditions, then only the event will be a success. So that is why I'll only cluster my values around the properties which are in both the data sets. A complement. A complement stands for non-occurrence of A. Suppose you take an example and say that I am going to do 20 questions in this class out of 40. So if you can do 20 questions out of 40 in this class, which means you have done the event A, but apart from that, if you do 19 or you do 21 or 23, that will not be in the occurrence of A, because you have defined your event A as you are going to solve 20 questions out of 40, so that is your event A, and if you do anything apart from that, just a slight variation, that will come into the category of A dash. Now next thing is A dash intersection B dash. It is stand for non-occurrence of both A and B. Suppose this was my A and I have a B. What I am saying is I am only interested in the non-occurrence of both of these. So if this is my A and this is my B, and I am telling that I need non-occurrence of A. So first non-occurrence of A will be this, including B part also, because some part of B comes outside A, and I am saying that I also need intersection of B, so which means I will take the data that is outside of B. So the common region of intersection says everything apart from the A union B. So which is neither in A and B but in universal set will be a part of this. So this is what we'll understand and claim to be non-occurrence of both the events A and B. I hope this is clear. So let's take 3 set of events A, B and C. It is very easy because while we are dealing with two set of events, we can only have this possibility. Yeah, we can have possibility like this, that nothing intersection is between these two events A and B, but the first case would be most general and accepted case because we can generalize the results that we're going to get. So exactly in this pattern also, what I can do, I can draw my ABC as like this. So there is a need to understand very briefly, very carefully what is happening in these cases. So I can call this as A, this guy as B, and this guy as C. Moving further, I am saying probability of A union B union C is nothing but probability of A, but probability of B, probability of C, adding all of them, subtracting the intersection of 2 and then again adding the intersection of 3. So let's understand what is this. So if I'm going to really understand what is happening in this case, so first of all let's mark out and demarcate the line of difference. See, this complete thing is A, the complete thing is A, and the part that it is getting mixed up with B is this. So this is the part of A intersection B, this is the part of B intersection C, and this is the part of A intersection C. If I have used that, now come to the third part, which is very important, the central part. The central part is a part of A, B and C. So let's start counting what is A union B union C. I need this complete thing. So if I am adding A, I am adding B, I am adding C, what I have done, I have twice counted this common area, this common area and this common area. So if I am subtracting this, I need to subtract this because I have added it twice. So while in the meantime I am subtracting this, so these are the terms which are responsible for giving me the extra added out terms. But if I have subtracted all of this, so don't you think that the middle part which was catering to everyone into this have been subtracted once more? Because see, what do we need? We need this part, this part, this part, these three common intersection points, and the other one, which one is very important, and that is present in the central half. If I am adding all these, which means I have added these things twice, once included in A and once included in B. So I need to subtract it once. So that is why what I have done, I have added A, I have subtracted once, which was getting counted as twice. Similarly, I have done it for all the pairs. But what I am saying is, while I am doing all of this, I have totally eliminated this region, which is club of all, club of A, B and C. So in order to retain that, I need to add this third term. So hence in this manner, the probability of A union B union C becomes probability of A, probability of B, probability of C minus the pairwise intersection of all the three pairs and adding the trisection of all the three events. Hope that this is clear. Next, what I am asking is probability of exactly one of A, B and C occurs. So let's understand it with a Venn diagram. If I am saying that either A, B and C, so my region of interest is what I want to have. I want to have exactly one of A, B and C occurs. So see, what I am doing, first I am adding probability of A, probability of B and probability of C, which means I have added all these three big circles. And after that, if I am subtracting twice of probability of A intersection B, which means this complete portion, I am adding this twice and I am eliminating it twice. Similarly for all the three possible pairs. And if I have done that, now I have added 3 times. So what is exactly I am expecting? Exactly one of A, B and C occurs. So what is the area in which exactly A, B and C are occurring? See, this is the area. This, the area in violet, B and C. So these are the 3 areas which I want that exactly one of the A, B and C will occur. So how to get this? I have added first all of these. So while adding, what I have seen that this red portion is getting counted twice. So I have subtracted it, which means by doing PA, PB and minus twice of PA intersection B, I have included this region, and I have excluded this red one. Doing similarly with all the three pairs, what I see that I have totally excluded all the three regions, but in doing twice, I have subtracted this central thing 6 times. I have subtracted the central thing 6 times. So in order to make an equal count, I need to add the common intersection of all the three events 3 times, and that is why this term is absolutely required. So hence in this fashion I can find out exactly one of A, B, C is occurring. Exactly 2 of A and B occur. So this will become very interesting. So let's understand it with the Venn diagram. I have 3 events, this and this. This one is A, this one is B, and this one is C. What I want exactly 2 of A, B, C will occur, and in this case I am strictly restricting my access to the thing which is painted in red. So what do I need? I need this part, and this part. But mind you that I don't need the part which is common to all. I don't need the part which is shown in the blue thing. So I need to be very careful while I am doing the calculation. So the first thing that I'll write P of A intersection B, P of B intersection C, P of A intersection C. What I have done, I have added all this red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. So let's do it like this. So what I have done, I have added red and blue, I have added red and blue, I have added red and blue. But my whole requirement was blue, blue, red, 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 right? So I need to eliminate blue. So I have added 3 times blue, and in order to eliminate blue, I have to subtract it. So that is why I have subtracted 3 times of blue over here. And blue was nothing but the common intersection of all the 3 events. Now the next is at least 2 of A, B and C must occur. So which means that I am totally interested in the occurrence of at least 2, which means single thing cannot happen, at least 2 can happen, at max 3 can also happen. So 2 can occur, 3 can occur. So in this what I have done, I have first of all I have taken the intersection of all the 3 things, and then I have just subtracted it twice. I'll tell you why. At least 2 means 1 should not occur, only 1 shouldn't occur. So only 1 shouldn't occur. What is that? And that is the part which I'll paint in green. The part which we don't want is this. That is just excluding the occurrence of a single event. So I just don't need that part. I will be needing the blue, again red. So I'll mark all those common intersection point as blue. So this is blue, this is blue. So what is my requirement? My requirement is red plus blue plus blue plus blue. So I will be needing 3 blues and 1 red. So while doing the sum of these 3 quantities, I am pretty sure that I have added red also 3 times. So in order to gain red only once, I need to subtract it twice. So that is what exactly I have done. I have subtracted the red portion twice, hence getting the final answer. Now, if suppose you have A1 to A set of events, and there will be a relation that will be written as probability of A union B is always greater than or equal to maximum probability of either event A, B, probability of A plus B minus 1. We'll learn how to extract this information very specifically in the following procedure. As I am pretty sure that A is a subset of A union B, so based on that I can say that probability of A is always going to be less than probability of A union B. Let's understand it in a Venn diagram what exactly this situation is. Situation is saying that if you have 2 events, probability of A and B, so I am saying that probability of A union B is always greater than either the probability of total event A or the probability of total event B, or adding these 2 events and subtracting from the sure event. So I'll always get the probability of A union B bigger than that. As you can see, A union B is always bigger than A, A union B is always bigger than B, A union B will always be bigger than A plus B minus 1, and we'll tell you how. As you can say that A is a subset of A union B, so hence I can say that probability of A will always be less than probability of A union B. Similarly, B is also the subset of A union B, hence in the same range I can say that probability of B is going to be less than probability of A union B. Having said that, so I think I can say that probability of A union B will be bigger than both the values, and in order to be pretty sure, I can say that whatever be it, let's take the maximum value, and probability of A union B will even be bigger than the maximum value. So this is what the whole statement is about. And I also know that probability of A union B is nothing from the Venn diagram, but I will have to add event A once, event B once, but while doing so I have added the common thing twice, so I need to subtract it once. So hence probability of A union B can be written as probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. So probability of A plus probability of B minus 1 will be less than probability of A union B, and if this is possible, I can say that probability of A union B is always less than equal to probability of A plus probability of B, because probability of A intersection B can either range from 0 and it will either approach or might be equal to 1. So from this statement, I think we have confirmed that this is going to happen because probability of A intersection B might range from 0 to 1. Next statement is the maximum of probability of A plus probability of B minus 1 and probability of A and probability of B is always less than probability of A union B, which is ultimately less than the individual addition of probability of A and probability of B. I think this can be understood very easily with the Venn diagram, because let us consider this case only. What I am saying is that probability of A union B, will just consider it like this. So if I want to go deep inside the understanding, so let's make the common thing blue again. So if this is blue again, so this part is only saying red outside and blue, but this part is telling me that specifically red plus blue, and this is also red plus blue. So in this case it is two blues, and in this case it's only one blue. So it's quite evident that this is going to happen, but this was the understanding on the physical part. Let's get it to the mathematical derivations also. Now if I will do the mathematical derivation, I'll do the same reverse processing what I have done for the last part, as I have said that A is subset of A union B, hence the probability. Similarly, B is the subset of A union B and hence the probability, but the individual addition of A plus individual addition of B is obviously and automatically going to be greater than probability of A union B, because I know from very basic that A union B is nothing but A plus B minus A intersection B, and as this thing can range from 0 to 1, which means in A union B I am subtracting something, and if I'll take out this subtraction part, so A plus B is definitely bigger than A union B, and that is what the statement is. The probability of A plus probability of B individually will always be greater than the probability of the union event A union B. Now this is a very famous thing you might have read in newspapers, that whenever two big teams clashes there, like in cricket or in World Cup, they always talk in terms of odds and against, right? So what is this? Let's understand it. If M cases are favorable to an event A and N cases are not favorable, so can I say that my sample space is nothing but M plus N, and if my sample space is M plus N, so and M cases are favorable, so the probability of occurrence of event E is nothing but M over M plus N, and the probability of non-occurrence of event E is nothing but N over M plus N. If I have understood this, there is a very famous two terms, then M is to N is called as odds in favor of A. When you show the favorable thing in the numerator, favorable is to non-favorable. So first thing we called as the favorable thing, and if m is total number of favorable, so m is to n will be called as odds in favor of any event A, and n is to m will be called as odds in against of any event A. And suppose if someone gives you these two values, and you might be asked to find out what will be the probability of occurrence. So if odds in favor is given, the probability of occurrence of event A will be nothing but m over m plus n, and if odds against the event is given, so probability of non-occurrence of the event will be nothing but n over m plus n. As simple as easy. Now, as we know that A intersection B stands for the occurrence of A, intersection A is a subset of B, so can I say that the occurrence of event A will imply me the occurrence of event B? Very easy. Now, if A and B are any two events, then as we've learned previously that probability of A union B is nothing but probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B, and this can be very well explained with the help of Venn diagrams, which I have explained earlier also. Moving further, if A and B are two mutually exclusive events, now that's the plan. Mutually exclusive events are those events such that the occurrence of one just tells you that the other one is not going to occur. So if you are going to find out the Venn diagram of mutually exclusive events, you will find that there is nothing which is common in both of them, and that is why the two events might not occur simultaneously. But if I want to write the union of both the events, it will be like adding individually, because there is nothing common in between them, and if I want to do either one of this, I have to add them individually. As it's very obvious that there is no intersection point in between them, and there is no sample point in the intersection, so that is why the probability of A union B will strictly probability of A and probability of B. So as it is very obvious that if I have considered any event A, the union of that event with the complementary is going to give me sample space. If you are going to draw, so this is sample space and this is event A, so if I'll club this and the things which are outside this, it will automatically give me the S, and I can pretty sure and confident in saying that A and A dash are mutually exclusive events. So the probability of A union A dash will be nothing but probability of A plus probability of A dash. Because these two are mutually exclusive events, so there will be no intersection point, and hence it will be probability of sample space, which will be 1. So I can say that the probability of any complementary event is nothing but 1 minus probability of that event. Very important result, must be used widely, a well-known fact, but this is the mathematical explanation how you are going to get that the probability of a complement event is nothing but 1 minus probability of that event. Exactly. The next case is probability of A intersection B dash. So what is this? Let's understand this by Venn diagram. So this is A and this is B. So what it is asking me that I need to have a common point that is in A but not in B. So if something that is not in B must be drawn outside B, and if I have drawn it, can I say that the common point that is in A and intersection of B is nothing but the part of A which is not in B, right? The part of A which is not in B. So to get that part of A which is not in B, I'll just write the A and subtract the common part that comes up with B. Next is, as A intersection B dash and A intersection B are mutually exclusive events. Why? Because in case number 1, I am telling you that I need an event which is existing in A but not in B, and in the second case I am telling you that I need an event which is existing in A as well as in B. So which means I am taking two poles apart thing. If I add them up, I'll get the complete event A, and if I try to take any point which is common in both of them, I won't find any. So that is why these two events are mutually exclusive, and based on the similar property, I can say that the probability of A intersection B dash is nothing but probability of A minus probability of A intersection B. So see, these two are just the ways of understanding One is by physical language and one is by applying mathematical concepts after understanding it physically. So if you do these two things side by side, I am pretty sure nobody can beat you in understanding the concepts of probability, and you will never ever face any problems as far as probability is concerned. So exactly in the same manner, can I say that probability of A dash union B dash is nothing but 1 minus probability of A intersection B? If I can say that, so let's see what the maths has to offer to us. I know that A dash union B dash, and if I unite A intersection B is going to give me sample space. You must be wondering why, so let's understand it. Why it will happen. So this one is A and this one is B. So what I'm saying is I need A dash. So A dash will be a part that will be occurring outside. Now if something is occurring outside A, so that will be this. Right. Now the next thing is something which is not in B also. Now if I want something which is not in B also, I think I can take this. So the common point that is occurring in both of them, if I take the union, so I just cannot take this part which is common to both of them, right? And from the sample space, if I'll eliminate this part, I am pretty sure that I will end up with A dash union B dash. So this is what is defined over there in the picture with Venn diagram, and using the concepts of mutual exclusivity, I have defined it in terms of formula also. Similarly, on the same basis, exactly one of A and B occurs, so it is the same thing. So exactly one of A and B occurs, which means if I have my sample space and Venn diagram like this, so either A should happen or B should happen. Or can I say that if A is happening, B shouldn't be happening, and if B is happening, A shouldn't be happening. So the first thing tells me that I am taking all the sample points in which A is happening and B is not happening, along with the fact that I am taking all the sample points in which A is not happening and B is happening. So this can be written as, on the same basis, probability of A plus probability of B minus 2 times probability of A intersection B. Or this can be written as probability of complete union minus the intersection part, and that will left me with the probability of A dash union B dash minus probability of A dash intersection B dash, whose result we have followed and found out in the previous slides. Moving further, if we have done all of this and considered all the basic facts, knowledge, algebra of events, taking 2 at a time, taking 1 at a time, at least 2 at a time, then I think at this juncture of time you are pretty confident that bring me on with any question, I will do it. So in order to testify that, so let's do a question. So what the question is from a pack of 52 cards, 2 cards are drawn at random, and the probability that both cards are spade. So first things first, sample space. Sample space is what? I am taking 2 cards out of 52, so I don't know how to take and what to take. So there will be 52 C2 possible ways in which I can take out a card. Next, the event A is taking out spade, right? So I think in a deck of 52 cards, if I am not wrong, I have 13 spade cards. And if I have 13 spade cards, I need to choose 2. So the favorable values will be 13 C2, and I think the probability is nothing but favorable upon total. So hence the probability in this case will be 13 C2 upon 52 C2. This will be nothing but 13 factorial upon 11 factorial into 2 factorial, 52 factorial into 50 factorial into 2 factorial. And if I do the calculation, this will cancel out this. So on the numerator, I'll have 13 into 12, 51 into 52. This will be 4 times, this will be 3, and this will be 1 over 17. Hence the option number A is the correct answer in this case. I hope that this part would have been clear. taking the information from the first part in which we have dealt with probability and different definitions and considering the algebra of events, in the next further parts we'll learn something that will be much more intriguing and much more interesting. Stay tuned for all of that. So in this part, you have seen that if I take A, B and C different events, and how can I club and give association of probability and mathematics to a certain set of events. Now if you have understood this properly, and with the question that we have done at the end of this part is going to give you a very strong foothold into the understanding of this.